Hello, Gary Simon here of DesignCourse.com. Today, we're going to focus on designing a grungy sort of dirty CD design. So we're only going to focus on the front side of the CD, and we're going to use Adobe Photoshop CC to do this. And this is going to span over the course of 2 days. Today, we're going to focus on designing most of it, and then tomorrow we're going to finish it off and then impose it into a 3D view of a jewel case or a CD case. Alright, so basically check out DesignCourse.com if you haven't yet, and certainly subscribe here on YouTube. Let's get started. Alright, so real quickly, I've downloaded a template file for a CD cover just from a random print site, and we're not going to use it, but I wanted to describe real quickly what these are. So anytime you're dealing with print design, you're going to have to deal with three different terminology basically. So we have your bleed, which is your last outer portion right here, and basically that's any type of background elements or any type of design that's supposed to be, 100% to the top, bottom, left, and right should go outside of this line, or extend out into this line rather, in this portion. And then you have your trim line. This is where it's physically being cut. And then you have your safety right here, which means if you have any important elements such as text, you want to keep it inside this portion, not like flat up against it basically. And anyhow, it's kind of bad design to put any text right up against this line anyways. So we'll go ahead to File, New, and we'll just call this Cover. And the general size of a CD cover in inches is 4.75 by 4.75. Resolution, you're going to want at 300 generally, and then color mode CMYK. Background contents, I always leave mine at transparent, and then just hit OK. All right, so this would actually be the trim line width and height. So if we go to image canvas size and change that to 5, hit OK. You could basically, you can see it slightly gets larger, and I forgot just to fill this in with the color real quick. I'm going to do that again, change that to 5. All right, so this outer portion would be the actual bleed area. So I'm going to hide this and just get started. So Control-Shift-N, enter for a new layer, call this background or BG. Fill this in. We'll use like almost a black color, so 202020, and then for this background we want something right around here as well, so 545454 for that color code. So if we go to image, or no, filter rather, render clouds, it gives us basically an interesting texture to start working with. All right, so now what I want to do is just kind of fade out the edges a little bit. So I'm going to take the brush tool with a feather brush, hardness at 0. The size I'm going to put actually maybe around 1500. And then just kind of click around here. It doesn't have to be perfect. Actually, I want to back up there and make this black, like 100% black. And like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect because this is just grunge. All right. All right, so in the middle, I kind of want to create like a dirty, grungy type of butterfly paint spatter type thing. So I've linked some different custom brushes in the description in YouTube below this video, and you could just download them and experiment. So if you take the paintbrush, take this, scroll down, you'll see I have a bunch of them here listed here. So if you kind of just click on here, you can see what these things look like. So I'm looking for one that's kind of full in the center. That could possibly work. I think this works pretty good. So I'm going to choose this one right here, and you could choose anything as similar. It doesn't have to be perfect. We'll take a red color for the foreground and create a new layer. We'll just call this blood, and then just click right around here. All right, pretty simple. Then I'm going to take the rectangular marquee tool, and then just right around there, just somewhere close to this edge, just delete. All right, so then I'm going to duplicate it. You can right click, hit duplicate layer, or Control Shift D. which is a custom hotkey I set up, and that's what I'm going to use in the future here. So if you want to set up your own keyboard shortcuts, you could do that by going to Edit Keyboard Shortcuts and finding here in the Tools. Yeah, it's the panels really, and it's in, where's it at? It's in Layer. So to duplicate layer right here, Control-Shift-D, I've set up right there. So I'm duplicating so many times, it's a good idea just to set up a hotkey for that. All right, so now we have that duplicated. Let's go to Edit, Transform, Flip Horizontal. Move this over, and then just join them. Take both of these by holding Shift, left-clicking, hit Control-E to merge. And all right, so now what we want to do is duplicate that once more. So Control-Shift-D. And you know, when it comes to grungy textures or whatever, you can really just play around with the filters and, you know, just coming up with anything that kind of looks cool. So I'm going to go to Filter, Pixelate, and Mezzotint. All right, so that just kind of really distorts the heck out of this right here. So I'll just zoom up so you can see this a little bit better. And then what I want to do is go to Filter, Blur, and Motion Blur. Right around there. All right, so now the next part is just going to be a matter of experimenting with this. If I go to Image Adjustments, Invert, I want to see what that looks like, okay? And then maybe go to Image Adjustments and Brightness and Contrast. Maybe take the brightness down to -95 and the contrast up to 100. And take this portion, actually we'll take this right here, hit Control-T for transform, and then hold Alt and bring this in just a tad bit, maybe down like this as well. And you could also, you know, you can take right here, if you left click it twice for the layer blend modes, you can really experiment by hitting your down arrow key and maybe coming up with something that you think looks interesting. And I think there was one up here that I kind of like the look of, and that is Linear Light. All right, so beneath both of those bled layers, I'm going to create a new one by Control-Shift-N and hit an Enter. And I'm going to take the brush tool, and I'm going to get just a different type of spatter going here, just for more texture. So yeah, maybe right there. And I want to make it black. So take our foreground, make it black. And then just come around there. Actually, maybe click twice, maybe. And then create even another one. Control-Shift-N. And we'll choose a different one this time. All right, I'm going to make it just slightly larger, so maybe like 1500. And this time I don't want it to be black. I'm going to take it maybe just a mid-gray. All right, and then maybe take the opacity down just a little bit. All right. All right, so now what I want to do is basically take the rectangle tool, and I think I'm just going to go beneath the two blood copies. Let's rename these real quick. This will be BG Spatter Black, BG Spatter Gray. And then just above those, Control-Shift-N for a new layer, hit OK. And I'm going to take, first I'm going to zoom out, just hit not Control-1 rather, I'm going to zoom out. Rather fit on screen. And then we'll take, just with the same gray color, the rectangle tool and just drag out holding Alt. All right. And I'm going to right click and rasterize that layer. And then I'm going to do the same thing sort of that we did with the this layer right here. So we'll go to Filter, Pixelate. We'll go to Mezzotint. Hit OK. And then maybe just do it one more time, but go in filter mezzotint. All right, so you can see it kind of changed, you know, basically it looks crazy. So then what I want to do is the same thing as before. Just go ahead to filter, blur, motion blur. Right around there, hit OK. Get rid of that. Fit on screen. And bring this just over here. Maybe take down the opacity. I'm going to duplicate that layer and take our rectangular marquee tool and kind of cut out the middle portion. Just so it's very thin, maybe even thinner than that. Okay, so you can barely see it, but we can bring up this. And this is just, you know, something that's just a random sort of design / effect. So we can take those two and hit Control E to merge them. Call this vertical line 1. Duplicate that. Maybe bring this one down. Take the eraser tool, a feather brush. And then delete that whole portion right here. Control T. Make it thick. And again, I'm just playing around, you know, not really doing anything with any type of reason. Let's see here. All right, so let's continue on just kind of improving on this. I'm going to take this blood copy layer right here, the red one, and I want to experiment maybe with the blend modes a little bit. So I'm just hitting my down arrow key. All right. You want to experiment with leaving that color and then duplicating that layer and positioning, yeah, just on top, and then changing this back to normal. Control T. Oops, I need to zoom out here. If you hold Alt in your scroll wheel, you can easily zoom out. All right, that looks kind of cool right there. What I may do is leave it right there. Hit apply and take this middle portion, hit Control T. You can hold Alt while doing this. All right. Control T on that maybe. All right. Just so we can get things to stand out a little bit more with a little bit more color. All right, so if I zoom fit on screen, this is what everything looks like so far. I want to play around just a tad bit more. So let me, yeah, we'll come just over, yeah, the BG layer right there. Control Shift N for a new layer. And I may take, let's see here. Yeah, just a large feather brush. So we'll go around, right around 400 or 500 pixels with a black. And I just kind of want this all to stand out more, so the way we can do that is just kind of to blur out portions of, or to make it black rather, of the background. All right. All right, so now I want to add some elements that aren't all grungy like this, which will really just kind of help bring the image together a little bit. So what we'll do is I'll come out here and we will, yeah, I think just above this layer, create a new layer, Control Shift N. And we'll take the ellipse tool and just around the center. You don't have to be perfect. Hold shift and scale out right around there. And then we'll get rid of the fill, or you can do it up here as well. And then we'll give it a stroke, maybe like a gray color. And then take the size up. So if we want to see this a little bit better, hit Control H twice. We could just make this 1 if we wanted to. All right, and actually maybe 0.5. All right, and then we can take the opacity, drop it down a little bit. Take this ellipse layer, we'll duplicate that. Duplicate it again. Right click and rasterize it. And we'll go to Filter, Pixelate, Mezzotint. Hit OK. You can see it kind of made it a little bit jaggy there. Go up here to 100%. And then go to Image Adjustments, Hue and Saturation. Colorize. Take the saturation up high and bring the brightness, or the lightness rather, down. And just right around there. And again, there's no right or wrong when it comes to this type of design, obviously, but so you don't have to follow these exactly. All right. All right, so basically, I think that will be pretty good, though I may want to experiment with this one. If we go to Image Adjustments, Hue and Saturation, we can always play around with this. And I don't think I quite liked where it was at right here for this type of blue. So if I just drag it over, I think I like that a little bit better. I'm at -33, though you probably don't have the exact same outlook. So, you know, basically just choose what you think looks good. And all right, I think that's a good place to stop for today. So tomorrow we'll finish this up by doing 2 different things. We'll get in kind of like a logo here. It's going to be the design course logo. You can use whatever you want. I will, of course, link that if you want to use the same project file. And we'll also play around with it a little bit and do a little bit more detail. And then we'll go ahead and take it and just basically composite it into a 3D view of an actual CD cover case. All right, so I'll see you then. But up first, of course, check out designcourse.com. I'm going to be releasing, I'm hoping to release maybe 3 or 4 or 5 different course products this year. So none are up yet, unfortunately, but check it out now, and maybe if you're watching this a little bit down the road. And also subscribe here on YouTube. All right, I'll see you then.